natural pearl is a miraculous creation of nature. In contrast to all myths of their formation, that they are the tears of the gods, for instance.
Any mollusk that produces a shell can produce a pearl. That includes abalone, marine snails, clams, mussels, and oysters. The South Sea pearl oyster that lives here produces the cream of the crop. It's a solitary creature that can grow to around 1 foot, living for up to 40 years. As a result, the pearls it creates are the largest, most lustrous of all. In recent years, a single Australian South Sea pearl was sold for over $1.5 million. The notion that a pearl always forms when a grain of sand enters the creature is a myth. Another possibility is that some tiny organism invades the creature and disrupts the cells in the mantle. Then, something miraculous happens. The oyster begins to secrete a smooth crystalline substance known as nacre. Nacre, or mother of pearl, is made of the same material that forms the inside of the shell. This combination of calcium carbonate and protein is both lighter and stronger than concrete. It takes several years for thousands of layers of nacre to build up and create a smooth, iridescent gem.
And by diffracting this light, these layers can also create iridescence, a rainbow effect like the shimmer on soap bubbles. But beyond aesthetics, the choice of pearl has a more symbolic value. In John's time and place, pearls were considered the most valuable thing one could possess. Roman imperial biographer Suetonius wrote that the Emperor Vitellius once financed an entire military campaign by selling just one of his mother's pearl earrings. Suetonius also estimated that a single pearl Julius Caesar gave to his mistress was worth 6 million sesterces, or $1.5 billion in modern currency. Caesar passed a law that only those of elite rank were permitted to own pearl.
Is she turning towards you or away from you? No one can agree. She's the mysterious subject of Dutch master Johan Vermeer's Girl with the Pearl Earring, a painting often referred to as the Mona Lisa of the North. Belonging to a Dutch style of idealized, sometimes overly expressive paintings known as tronies,
Girl with a Pearl Earring is a painting from around 1665 to 1667 by the Dutch master Johannes Vermeer.
instead of being like a set piece in a theatrical narrative scene, she becomes a psychological subject. Her eye contact and slightly parted lips, as if she is about to say something.
Throughout millennia, pearls have held immense significance and have been deeply intertwined with diverse cultures and civilizations. While the exact origins of their discovery remain unknown due to their ancient history, pearls have been treasured and utilized as adornments for countless years. The oldest written mention of pearls dates back to 2206 BC, recorded by a Chinese historian. The reverence for pearls was so profound that in the 1st century BC, Julius Caesar enacted a law reserving the privilege of wearing pearls exclusively for the ruling classes. These historical anecdotes exemplify the enduring allure and prestige associated with pearls. Their timeless beauty and rarity have made them symbols of luxury and social distinction. Pearls, both natural and cultured, come in a wide range of colors, with white and cream being the most familiar. Pearls consist of approximately 90% calcium carbonate, along with water and organic matter such as conchiolin proteins. Calcium carbonate can crystallize in different forms or polymorphs within pearl mollusks, including aragonite, calcite, and vaterite. Although all these polymorphs share the same chemical formula, they possess distinct crystal structures. The captivating iridescent effect observed in pearl oyster shells and nacreous pearls is attributed to the presence of submicroscopic layers of aragonite arranged in a regular pattern. However, it is worth noting that most pearl oysters, as well as both natural and cultured pearls, may also contain calcite and vaterite alongside aragonite.
خلال تنقيبات الأثرية الأخيرة في موقع مروح الأثري كنا محظوظين جدا بالحصول على حبة لؤلؤ طبيعية تم العثور عليها في أرضية أحد الغرف، ومن خلال عامل C14 أو التحليل الكربوني المشع أعطتنا تاريخ تقريبي ما بين 5800 قبل الميلاد إلى 5600 قبل الميلاد، مما يجعلها أقدم لؤلؤة مكتشفة حتى الآن.
Pearls were rare and valuable, and have been worn as a symbol of authority and social status through the ages. Myths and superstitious beliefs surrounded pearls, from embodying purity to bringing good luck in marriage, or to symbolize tears and misfortune. The creation of the pearl associated with the birth of Aphrodite or Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, has made the pearl a symbol of seductiveness and femininity to the present day. In Roman times, pearls were desirable luxury. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder complained about the new rich and their increasing fashion for pearls. The most precious and valuable were often combined with emeralds. Pliny claimed, "Women spend more money on their ears in pearl earrings than on any other part of their person." Christian symbols appeared in jewellery during the 5th century, when the Christian cross became fashionable. By the Middle Ages and in the Renaissance, pearls became symbolic of Christ. The creation of the pearl was associated with the Virgin Mary's miraculous conception of the Christ child. Its symbolism was of purity and perfection. Royals and nobles competed for large and beautiful pearls and wore them as a sign of political power and prosperity. Catherine de' Medici wore pearls in abundance as an expression of her status as queen. Her pearls, bequeathed to Mary Queen of Scots, became a symbol of rivalry as they were sold by Mary's Scottish opponents to Elizabeth I.
19 million, 20 million, 23 million, 32 million francs.
The Bourbon-Parma family were connected with royalty in Spain, France, Italy and Austria, and amassed jewels of exquisite taste and of huge historic importance. The most antiques of the example in the collection go back to Queen Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette is one of the most memorable queen of all history. So to have something that was created for her and she wore on her skin is something very, very sort of poignant and strong. The highlight of the whole sale is a really gorgeous pearl and diamond pendant set with a large pear-shaped drop mounted on a diamond bow. It is an amazing jewel in itself. The fact that Marie Antoinette wore it in conjunction with 3 strings of pearls that are sold within the collection as well is an extra bonus.
For some 10 minutes, the bidding went back and forth for the prized possession of the night, a diamond and pearl pendant. At Sotheby's in Geneva, wealthy collectioners came out or phoned in to buy a piece of history in the form of Marie Antoinette's jewels.
32 million francs on my right with Andres, world record for a pearl. 32 million francs, selling it. So.
In total, with fees, the anonymous buyer spent over $36 million, or nearly 32 million euros, on the jewel, breaking the record price for a pearl and far exceeding the initial estimate of $1 to $2 million for the 18th century pin. A success the auctioneers attributed to the continued awe around Marie Antoinette's life and her execution in 1793.
You don't need to be a historian to know Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette is, I think, together with Cleopatra, She is the most important queen of the whole history.
The pendant was one of 10 pieces belonging to the former French queen that went up on the auctioneer's block. Some hadn't been seen in 200 years, for many were in the Italian royal collection of the Bourbon-Parma family.
Natural pearls have been revered since the beginning of time. They have symbolized purity and rarity and power. Natural saltwater pearls are a result of an oyster protecting itself. If an oyster has a foreign body or something of an irritant inside, it tries to dispel that. But if it can't dispel that, then it will protect itself by creating some nacre over the irritant. And this is how a natural saltwater pearl is formed. The Peregrina pearl is about 2.5 centimeters in length and 1.7 centimeters across. That's a huge size for a natural pearl to grow to. And it's very rare they'll grow to that size because the oyster is a living organism and it's got to stay healthy for a long time to be able to produce a pearl of that size. The Peregrina pearl had an amazing history. It was found in 1513 by a slave in the Gulf of Panama, and he actually traded his freedom for the pearl. And that pearl then found its way over to the Spanish royal jewels, and then from there it went on to Europe, and then it eventually found its way to New York. There's this wonderful story of when Richard Burton gave Elizabeth Taylor the Peregrina pearl. They were sitting in her flat. She put her hand out to get the pearl and she couldn't find it. And then she could hear her dog crunching, and she suddenly rushed to the Pekingese, opened his mouth, and there was the pearl, luckily unscratched. When Elizabeth Taylor's jewels were sold at auction in 2011, the Peregrina pearl sold for £8 million because of its rarity. If that came up for auction today, it would certainly get a lot more than that.
Hi, today I will tell you about one incredible gem, La Peregrina pearl. This is the oldest large pearl with a known history. That means that there are older pearls, but no one knows where they came from. La Peregrina means wanderer. It is a pear-shaped pearl which weighs about 56 carats. It was found in the 16th century by one of the slaves near the Pearl Islands of Panama. By the way, he was granted freedom for this. So the pearl settled in the box of Spanish queens. Look, here is the portrait of Mary Tudor with it. But in 1813, the Spanish king Joseph Bonaparte fled the country after the Battle of Vittoria and took some of the royal jewelries with him, including La Peregrina. Then the pearl moved to his nephew, Napoleon III of France. But he also had to sell it to the Scottish Duke Hamilton. In our time, the wandering pearl was bought at an auction by an actor Richard Burton for his wife Elizabeth Taylor as a gift for St. Valentine's. The wandering pearl really justifies its name. It constantly pops out of its frame. For example, the Dukes of Hamilton lost it twice. Once at a ball at Buckingham Palace, and second time on the sofa of Windsor Castle. And Elizabeth Taylor also lost it once in a hotel, but fortunately managed to find it in the teeth of one of her puppies. Fortunately, it didn't have time to chew it up.
This spectacular natural pearl necklace, which is over 200 years old, is of great historical and royal provenance. Pearls have been considered amongst the most valuable of all gemstones for well over 2,000 years. They are the most difficult of all gemstones to obtain. Traditionally, divers would risk their lives to get the oyster, and the whole symbolism of pearl is the extreme rarity, the extreme accomplishment of having them. The orient, the iridescence of a natural pearl is something quite extraordinary, and against a beautiful woman's skin, there's no other stone that is so flattering. So what's exciting about this necklace is that it's of royal provenance, it's historically important, and it was formerly in the collection of Josephine de Beauharnais, the Queen of Sweden and Norway, But she'd inherited it from her mother, Princess Augusta of Bavaria, Duchess of Leuchtenberg, who also, it is believed, received it from her mother-in-law, Josephine de Beauharnais, Empress of the French, the famous Josephine, who had such a spectacular and well-known collection of pearls. From the clasp, the necklace is formed of 2 strands of natural pearls, 111 of them, suspending 7 graded drops, the largest, of course, at the front, the effect being of absolute harmony as these drops, varying in size, culminate in the central magnificent pearl. The necklace is held together by this charming old cushion-shaped diamond that adds this extraordinary sort of scintillating light at the back, just underneath the hairline. So classic, so simple. To add to the charm of the necklace, it's accompanied by a portrait of Queen Josephine wearing the necklace. You can see how the pearls are absolutely the focal point of that portrait and how the lustrous, sort of gentle bloom of the pearl is enhancing her skin. It has passed through the collections of a queen and a princess. It's an irresistible provenance and has been admired and loved for over 200 years.
Check out the 10 most expensive pearls in the world. Find out what makes them worth millions. Who doesn't love pearls? If diamonds are considered a girl's best friend, the pearls are a girl's rescue buddy. When push comes to a shove, just put on your pearls and you immediately become fashion ready. Historically, pearls have been viewed as a symbol of prestige, wealth, and power. Cleopatra once showed Mark Antony the extremity of her wealth by melting a pearl in vinegar and then drinking it. Some wealthy people invest their hard-earned money in lovely jewelry, but did you know that some even spend a ton of money on pearls? Here are 10 of the most expensive pearls in the world. Let's find out what makes them so pricey and $1,000,000 worthy. When Pierre Cartier was just getting started as a jeweler in New York City, one of his first major pieces for sale was a $1 million pearl necklace. Like other Cartier jewelry of the time, the pearl necklace was created by Pierre's brothers in Paris before going up for sale in New York City. Interestingly, the Cartier pearls never really sold. They were traded. When the wealthy Mr. and Mrs. Plant passed the Cartier storefront in the late 1910s, Mrs. Plant fell in love with the pearls. But Mr. Plant didn't have $1 million in cash, so instead of buying the pearls, Mr. Plant offered to trade his mansion for the expensive set of 128 pearls. The Plants had already begun construction of a bigger home near Fifth Avenue, so the deal was made. According to the official report for the transaction between Mr. Cartier and Mr. Plant, ownership of the Plant's mansion was transferred for $100 and other valuable considerations. Those other valuable considerations were the Cartier pearls. Nearly all natural pearls, pearls formed without any human intervention, are white, cream-colored, or gray. Finding one that's any other hue is rare, but it's not impossible. After all, the Baroque Big Pink Pearl, discovered in 1990, is a natural pearl with a pink tone. Technically considered an abalone pearl, this unique find is valuable due to its uncommon coloration. But its comparatively large size also contributes to its high price tag. The average pearl weighs 3 carats, but the Big Pink Pearl weighs 470 carats. Valued at $4.7 million in 1991, the Big Pink Pearl would be worth an astounding $9.9 million today. However, the diver who found this pearl, Wesley Rankin, has refused to sell it. So if you have your heart set on purchasing this pearl, you might need to do some persuading. This impressive single-strand natural pearl necklace is famous for being part of the Duchess of Windsor's jewelry collection. However, its legacy stretches back to the Imperial Russian era. The Dowager Empress Maria Feodorovna of Russia sold the necklace to King George V in 1929, who gifted the natural pearl necklace to his wife, Queen Mary of England. From Queen Mary, the necklace went to the heir to the British throne, Edward the Duke of Windsor, who subsequently gave the fabulous pearl necklace to his fiancée Bessie Wallace Simpson upon his marriage to her in 1937. Designed and created by Cartier of Paris at the behest of Queen Mary, the spectacular single-strand natural pearl necklace features 28 creamy white natural pearls, possibly of Australian origin, making them natural South Sea pearls. Upon the Duchess of Windsor's death in 1986, her entire collection of fine jewels acquired after a long, loving marriage was bequeathed to the French Research Institute, with instructions to liquidate the entire collection via auction, with the proceeds going to medical research and charity. The last sale of the Duchess of Windsor's famous necklace was in 2007, when it was purchased by Calvin Klein as a gift for his wife. The legendary Cowdrey Black Pearl necklace is a natural pearl consisting of stunningly beautiful natural pearls shining with multi-hued aubergine, green, peacock, silver, and mink overtones laid over a light dove to medium dark charcoal grey body colours. These pearls were originally owned by Viscountess Cowdrey, also known as Annie Pearson. Annie was an English society hostess, philanthropist, and suffragist. Annie also served as president of the Women's Liberal Federation in the early 1920s. In October 2015, a pearl necklace owned by Annie was sold by Sotheby's for more than $5.3 million. Interestingly, the very same set of pearls was sold for $2 million less at an auction held by Christie's just 3 years earlier. These pearls sold for more than $7 million at an auction held by Christie's in 2007. The set of 68 natural pearls was made into a necklace by Cartier, likely sometime after Jacques Cartier's first trip to India in 1911. This extraordinary two-strand natural pearl necklace is strung with 68 of the largest pearls from the famed 7-strand natural pearl necklace that formed the cornerstone of the royal treasury of the Maharaja of Baroda. This exceedingly rare and historically important necklace presents an unrivaled opportunity for collectors through its combination of royal provenance, unrivaled quality, and exceptional rarity. According to Christie's, the Baroda pearls are a legendary and coveted treasure. On April 9, 2010, a record-breaking $8.7 million was paid for an 18th century Chinese imperial ceremonial court pearl necklace at a Sotheby's auction in Hong Kong. It once belonged to the 4th Manchu Emperor Yongzheng, who ruled China from 1678 to 1735. The court portrait shows the emperor wearing the necklace. The portrait thus provides authenticated historical ownership, provenance, which probably explains the large sum paid for it. The necklace construction is very different from what we are used to. There are 3 additional long turquoise bead dangles coming from the shoulder down to the front. Another long dangle featuring a large chartreuse quartz cabochon goes to the back. This focal is surrounded by smaller spinel and sapphire cabochons. No list would be complete without mentioning La Peregrina, also known as the Pilgrim or the Wanderer. This large, gorgeous natural pearl got its name due to its 500-year journey through history and royal collections. Originally found in the Gulf of Panama by an African slave, La Peregrina was brought back to Spain and presented to King Philip II, who gifted it to his bride-to-be, Mary I of England. Upon her death, La Peregrina returned to the crown jewels of Spain and remained there for 250 years. By 1808, Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's older brother, became King of Spain. He was forced to abdicate his throne in 1811, and La Peregrina was among the treasures that he took with him in his flight. The pearl was willed to Napoleon III after his death, and La Peregrina eventually was sold to the Duke of Abercorn in England. It stayed within the family's collection for nearly a century before finally being purchased at auction by actor Richard Burton in 1969 for $37,000. Burton famously gifted La Peregrina to his wife, Elizabeth Taylor, a known jewelry and pearl connoisseur. Taylor treasured her Valentine's Day gift and wore it often in many configurations over the decades, until she had the jeweler Cartier create a show-stopping necklace of pearls, rubies, and diamonds to showcase the gem. Taylor could be seen wearing La Peregrina until her death, and the pearl was sent to Christie's auction house in 2011 and was sold for $11.8 million. Marie Antoinette's opulent lifestyle came to a violent end when she was publicly executed by guillotine in 1793. However, many of her most decadent belongings survived, including her remarkable pearl pendant. This drop pearl is accentuated by glittering diamonds, affixed to metal to form a shape of a delicate bow. Initially valued at $2 million, this pendant sold for $36 million at a Sotheby's auction in 2018. Why it's expensive? There are quite a few reasons why Marie Antoinette's pearl pendant is so costly. Firstly, it's a sizable drop pearl that's far larger than the standard round pearl. Secondly, this pearl is attached to a pendant that's studded with multiple sizes of diamonds. These precious stones add thousands of dollars to the value of this pearl piece. Lastly, this pendant once belonged to Marie Antoinette, the last Queen of France before the French Revolution of the late 1700s. As such, it's a historically significant pearl that cannot be reproduced or replaced. The fisherman's pearl is the most expensive natural pearl in the world. This huge pearl was discovered by a fisherman in the Philippines. After his anchor got stuck on something, the unidentified fisherman dove underwater to free his boat. On the way down, he noticed the anchor was lodged on a shell. Once he freed the anchor, he brought the shell back up with him and discovered the most expensive pearl on the planet. Amazingly, the fisherman didn't know the value of the pearl and kept it under his bed for a decade as a good luck charm. The fisherman eventually brought the massive pearl to his local tourism office, where its true value was revealed. As such a big pearl, this incredible find probably won't be cut down to create jewelry, partially because cutting down pearls diminishes their luster. Instead, the fisherman's pearl will remain in the Philippines as a tourist attraction.